Hey, this is Matt once again. What about to the video is another paid request, this time from Masi. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is for Soylent Green, the 1973 film, which I had heard about for years and years and never got around to seeing it until now. Now this is for the Charlton Heston sci-fi trilogy in a way. Because you have Planet of the Apes. Well, technically he was in the sequel, but I meant the ones he starred in. Planet of the Apes, The Omega Man, and this film. And I would say of the three, I probably like this one the most. I don't hate Planet of the Apes. I just don't love it like other people do. The Omega Man wasn't based on the finale of it. But this one, I did like the story. I liked how the world is showcased. Sadly, it could be the world of today if we're not careful. Of course, I know the twist. If you don't know the twist, there's going to be spoilers. But most people know the twist because of the famous, infamous line that Charlton Heston says that many people, many TV shows, including The Simpsons, have brought up and referenced about Soylent Green. So in the film, and we didn't realize this was the same director that go on to do Conan the Destroyer, which I really enjoy, and Red Sonja, which I could watch. Pretty much, it takes place in 2022, which that was another surprise. I'm like, this took place in 2022? It took place last year? There's overpopulation, and because of the pollution and climate change and crapping on natural resources, so a lot like today. Now, like every scene, it feels like there's just people just crowded with each other, like neck and neck with each other. You really get the feeling of the overpopulation in this. I thought they did a good job with that. Because they didn't have the budget to showcase a whole lot of big effect scenes in terms of like nationwide, widespread, how this affects so many stuff. So it's not a big effects heavy movie, not in the slightest. It's much more about the ideas of the film. But like I said, one thing it does do well is showcase the overpopulation. Because like every staircase, there's like dozens of people sleeping on them. And food is very scarce. The rich, they could pay enough to get strawberry jam, $150 a piece, or the very, very rare beast of beef, hot water. Like the rich can get what they want, but the poor, fuck the poor, they just get whatever. Mainly these wafers, Soylent Red, Soylent Yellow, and this new, good tasting, nutritious one, Soylent Green. And like there's a scene where you have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people crowded just to get these bags of these wafers. And hey, we're all out, so of course riots break out. Yeah, it sounds like today. And I know this may seem like a silly image, but at the same time, I just see this happening where when the riots are happening, the police have these kind of dump trucks, but they will pick people up like a shovel and bring them back to drop them in the back of these trucks where they can't get out of. And of course, you think, well, why don't they jump off? Some of them do, but then some of them I'm probably thinking, well, they'll break their arm, they'll break their neck, is they're getting high, or they get caught on something. And hate to say it, but one day I could see that happening, where it's non-lethal, we're not shooting them. And, you know, I just how some people may look at that and seem like it's a bit silly, but it was a novel idea, I didn't mind it. But yeah, Charlton Heston's a cop. And Charlton Heston is Charlton Heston. You either like him or you don't. I like him. Yeah, pretty much every role he plays, he's playing Charlton Heston. That voice, that presence. But it's a very commanding presence, very intense presence, and I appreciate that. I think he's good for a leading guy. And I believe in what he says, and is a good lead to follow. So he's this cop investigating this rich man being. They said it was burglar, but he knows it was assassination because A, the guy didn't take anything. B, this has an alarm system, and the one time it didn't work happens to be tonight. He starts investigating and realizes this guy knew too much. This guy knew a secret, which he had to die for. And even that scene came off as interesting. That's when I'm watching the film, I'm like, okay, this guy's being assassinated, but his assassin is kind of shy, and he's got this, I don't know what to call it, meat hook, but it's got this, looks like a crowbar, but it's got something on the top to more steer you. But he's like almost like kind of nervous and talking. It's like, I was here to do this. Yep. And you're fine with that? It's like, it has to be done. So I'm explaining it poorly, so I'll just, for those who do want to see it, it's just done in a way I wasn't expecting. It was just a bit interesting vibe to that whole bit. And so again, Charlton Heston looks into this. His roommate is Edward G. Robinson in his final role, who is an older guy that remembers back to the day of the good times. And they have some, fun back and forth. But at the same time, you just tell the sadness in Edward G. Robinson's demeanor, where he does remember the good times. And there's a bit that he finds this one little piece of beef, and he's like crying, and he's like, how did we come to this? How the hell did we come to this point in society? And it's a humanizing moment that I can see happening, sadly, in the real world. That you get to a point, you just stop there, and something that's small that we take for granted to be so rare. And they sit there and go, how do we come to this, man? We had this everywhere. And it's like, that's why we have to be careful about the shit. But no one wants to listen. So Charlton Heston listened to Soylent Corporation, including the oceanographic. Sorry, I fucked up that word. Edward G. Robinson not only is his buddy and roommate, but he's also a guy that could do research. So he gives Edward that job while you listen to it. There's a bit involving the rich guy had this concubine, this lady, live-in hooker, how you want to put it, which in this future they label them as furniture, which is interesting. That didn't really go too far or anywhere, that whole love story aspect. Nothing really came to fruition of it. It's pretty much they had a little fling in a couple scenes, then she's off to a new person, and then you never see her again. So it's the weakest part of the movie. Just nothing really comes of it. I don't know if they had really the greatest of chemistry with each other, and I don't know. It was more interesting his investigation to this corporation, not so much the concubine. But I guess they felt, well, he's got to have some type of love interest or some type of thing there. Which he didn't need to. Not every story needs a love story. In fact, sometimes it's a bit like Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. They try to add like a little thing between him and the one girl. It's like, nah, you don't need any of that. No time for love, Dr. Jones. So it's either him investigating that, or him dealing with the concubine, or him just dealing with the daily life of this world where I like the way they made it look. Outside is always this green mist to really sell, I guess, the pollution aspect of it. Like I said, everywhere you go, like when we first see Charlton Heston, he leaves, he almost has to just jump the whole staircase that it's filled with just bodies sleeping there. Or there's a bit where he goes to investigate a church, and he's going to talk to a priest, and he sees a little girl there her arm is tied to her mom, who is dead. So he has to untie her and get her to the church, the sanctuary. And there's a couple people recognized in the supporting cast. Like, of course, Edward G. Robinson's been a lot of stuff back in the day. Brock Peters is the police chief, who's kind of, you say, an ally for Charlton Heston. Brock Peters, I remember as the Admiral of Starfleet in Star Trek 4. I think you find out he's a bad guy in Star Trek 6, but I remember he was in Star Trek 4. As Admiral, you mainly see him at the very beginning and very end of the movie. He's been in a few other stuff as well. And I like him as an actor. Chuck Connors, who is the star of films like Tourist Trap, he's in there as, we kind of found out, one of our main villains of the film. And even the priest guy, like, he tells this priest who you tell is out of it. He's out of it because of the conditions. Even the whole sanctuary, like, just brimming with people who are homeless and babies crying. And also, I guess, with this thing that the rich guy had told him, and he's usually just out of it. I'm sitting there going, I recognize this priest. It is Lincoln Kilpatrick. He was in the Christopher Lambert film Fortress. He was a guy that was working with Kurtwood Smith. He was the black guy in the film. I think really one of the only black guys in the film. But he was working with Kurtwood Smith, but he's also wanted to help Christopher Lambert and Lambert's wife in that movie. He's been in a few other stuff, but I remember mostly from Fortress. Oh, okay, that's him there. People being killed, witnesses are being killed. Charlton Heston more and more looking into this. And there's some stuff in there they wouldn't get away with today. Like, there's a bit where he confronts Chuck Connors and just beats the shit out of him. Fuck police brutality. We're going to beat the shit out of you. But then this other lady tries to hit him, and Charlton Heston just takes her and just slaps the shit out of her. You wouldn't have a guy do that today, especially your lead. But hey, you know, don't try to attack him and don't try to fuck with him. Get the fuck out of here. It wasn't even a punch, it was just literally the equivalent of a bitch slap. Over and over again. Yeah, that wouldn't happen today. And as I said, you have that whole scene with the riot and people riding over one of these wafers, Soylent Green. And like an assassin tries to kill Charlton Heston, but he keeps hitting people that's in the way. And I like that scene with just how, again, it was filmed in this murky green. Just felt the chaos. The overpopulation chaos during the whole thing. And spoilers from here on out. I like the way where we've established these shoveling machines, but then one comes down on the guy and fucking flattens him like a pancake. And then Edward G. Robinson looked more into this and he finds out the secret, and his choice is to go into this facility, which you don't know what it is at first, and you're trying to find out is an assisted suicide facility. Where you get comfortable and you get a certain amount of time where you're drinking nice wine or whatever, and all these images that you want to see. I thought Charlton Heston did a decent enough job, emotional, because he doesn't want his friend to do that, and said, what did you know, what did you find out? I thought, again, Heston shows some nice emotion to it. One thing that was a bit weird is that during that scene, there's a sign that says, speaking permitted. Now, I don't know what the fuck happened here. There's a wire about right here during that scene where it says speaking permitted. When something happens, the wire then is here, then it's here, then it's here, then it's here. As if someone was not paying attention to continuity and this wire had been moved and they were more looking at this other thing, but like, it's a wire. It's all of a sudden, the next second, it's here, The next second is here. And I'm sitting there going, wait, what the fuck is that? So I wasn't paying attention to the scene. I was paying attention to this continuity fuck up that I don't know how the hell no one saw this. How did no one see this? How did no one notice that? It's blaring. It's glaring. It's so fucking obvious. So that's what I mean by sometimes the budget kind of fails it. Maybe if you had a bit more budget where you could see how this affects other pieces of the country. Maybe get more wider shots of the city. Maybe a few more extravagant action set pieces. It could have helped. But like I said, I like the look of the world. I like some of the ideas of the plot. I like Charlton Heston. I like some of the people like Brock Peters in there. And of course, he goes to the factory, and you find out that the biggest spoiler of them all, Soylent Green is people. They take dead bodies, and they use the dead bodies, they dump them, and then next thing you know, they're these green wafers. That's why they're more nutritious and more protein and more yummy to people. He gets chased, he did a shootout, a little bit of fight with Chuck Connors. He gets wounded, but he also stabs Chuck Connors right in the stomach. It was pretty satisfying. Brock Peters gets there, he tells him what's going on, he's carted away. He's yelling, we gotta war people! Soylent Green is people! Kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 50s one. You're next! You're next! So the freeze frames, and then you don't know what happened next. Did his warning go unnoticed? Did it go noticed? Did people believe in it? Did people not believe in it? That's up to you to decide. So, I mean, at least there's the slimmest of hope compared to the other two. Because Planet of the Apes, you find out, and pretty depressing, that this was Earth all along. Well, Mega Man, I think that's also a pretty depressing ending. Especially what happened to Charlton Heston's character. Here, Charlton Heston, as of there, is still alive. He's warning people. Brock Peters seemed like he believed him, but who knows? And this is up to you, the viewer. So I mean, at least if you don't have a question mark, at least you give an option to both sides as to however you want to think of it. I say spoiler. I mean, most people probably know the secret to what happens, but. Like I said, I do wish I had a little bit more of a bigger budget to either more flourish its ideas. The whole concubine lady thing, I don't think was 100% needed. I mean, maybe you showcase the idea of women as furniture, all that stuff, but it didn't really lead anywhere. I wish the factory scene was a bit longer, where there's a little bit even more suspense, a little bit more milking the idea of what could this revelation be, and a little bit more of Charlton Heston's realization of what's going on. But overall, I didn't mind Soylent Green. I didn't, when you watch certain aspects, you go, man, if we're not careful, we're going to end up like this. So, it's definitely some nice food for thought, no pun intended. And I know one thing, I ain't going to be eating no fucking wafers anytime soon, I'll say that. I don't eat wafers, but whatever the hell the government gives you, don't give them what they give you, you know. Maybe that'll be the twist of today. The booster's made of people! It's made of people! I'll be the Charlton Heston, as long as I can be the Charlton Heston role. It's made of people! I could be Charlton Heston. No, I can't. There's one Charlton Heston, but... Yeah, there's some nice... no pun intended, food for thought in this. And that I appreciated. And not wall-to-wall action, not wall-to-wall spectacle, but overall, pretty decent, actually I would say pretty solid sci-fi story. So, with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.